Imagine living in a world where distraction doesn't control you, where your mind is as sharp as a blade, and every choice is guided by honor, courage, and self-mastery. That was the life of the samurai, warriors bound by Bushido, the ancient code of discipline that shaped Japan for centuries. But here's the secret. Bushido isn't just history, it's a roadmap for your life today. In this video, you'll discover how the samurai's timeless principles can transform your focus, strengthen your discipline, and unlock the warrior within you. Stay until the end, because the way of Bushido might just change the way you live forever. For centuries, the samurai of Japan have stood as icons of discipline, loyalty, and a unique moral code that continues to inspire people far beyond their time. The image of the armored warrior, blade in hand, standing unflinching in the face of death, is not just a relic of feudal Japan, it is a mirror reflecting a timeless pursuit of self-mastery. In an era where distractions are infinite, where impulses rule unchecked, and where the pursuit of comfort often outweighs the pursuit of excellence, the ancient way of the samurai offers a striking alternative: Bushido, the way of the warrior. This was not just a military guideline. It was a philosophy, a system of ethics, a blueprint for living with honor, courage, and discipline in every moment of existence. And today, more than ever, it carries lessons we desperately need. To understand Bushido, we must first understand the world in which it was born. In medieval Japan, the samurai were not simply fighters. They were retainers sworn to lords, men bound by an intricate web of loyalty, hierarchy, and social expectation. In a land fractured by constant warfare, the samurai needed not just martial skill, but also a moral compass that could hold together the fabric of society. This compass crystallized into the principles of Bushido, a code transmitted through generations by word, practice, and example. The word Bushido translates directly as the way of the warrior. It was never a single written manual, but rather a cultural ethos, a synthesis of Shinto purity, Confucian duty, Buddhist impermanence, and martial necessity. Bushido asked the samurai not merely to fight well, but to live well, to live with integrity even when no one was watching, and to face inevitable death with serenity. Unlike many warrior codes of history, Bushido was not about conquest alone. It was about restraint, duty, and a life defined by self-discipline. The code was built upon 7 core principles: rectitude, courage, benevolence, respect, honesty, honor, and loyalty. Some schools added self-control as the silent foundation of them all. These virtues were not abstract, they were demanded in daily life. The samurai were expected to act with unwavering justice, to show bravery even in hopeless battles, to serve others, to treat both friend and enemy with dignity, to speak truthfully, to protect personal and family honor, and to devote themselves completely to their lord or cause. Failure to uphold these virtues often brought shame so unbearable that ritual suicide, seppuku, was considered preferable to dishonor. To modern ears, such extremes may sound alien, but beneath the severity lies a simple truth. The samurai valued discipline above life itself. What does this mean for us, living in the 21st century? We are not carrying katanas, nor are we kneeling before daimyo in wooden castles. Yet the human condition remains unchanged. We still wrestle with fear, laziness, anger, temptation, and weakness. Our battlefields are not open plains, but digital screens, office cubicles, gyms, and inner minds. And it is precisely here that Bushido proves its enduring relevance. The same principles that guided men in armor through life and death struggles can guide us through the subtler wars of our age. To live by Bushido today is to live with intention, to wield self-discipline as our blade, and to build a life rooted in honor and integrity while the world tempts us to drift into distraction. Let us now explore how each pillar of Bushido translates into modern self-discipline and how the spirit of the samurai can transform our daily existence. Rectitude, sometimes translated as justice, is the backbone of the code. For the samurai, rectitude meant acting with unwavering correctness, making decisions based on principle rather than convenience. To live without rectitude was to live without spine, without form. In our era, rectitude is the courage to do what is right when shortcuts abound. It is resisting corruption when it's easy to cheat. It is refusing to compromise values for quick gains. Self-discipline begins with clarity of purpose and moral orientation. Without rectitude, effort collapses into chaos. A modern practitioner of Bushido asks, do my daily actions align with my values, or am I betraying myself in small, unnoticed ways? To choose rectitude today is to say no to instant gratification and yes to a greater, longer horizon. Courage, the second pillar, was not reckless daring, but controlled bravery, the ability to act rightly despite fear. Samurai were expected to face death calmly, for they knew that fear paralyzes action and undermines discipline. Modern courage is subtler. It is the courage to begin the hard project, to say no when everyone says yes, to face rejection, to endure hardship for the sake of growth. Self-discipline cannot exist without courage, because discipline demands daily confrontation with discomfort. Whether it is rising at dawn to train, resisting the pull of social media to focus on work, or speaking truth when silence is safer, courage fuels the disciplined life. A Bushido-inspired individual asks, am I running from fear, or am I advancing despite it? Benevolence may seem surprising in a warrior's code, yet it was central. With immense power came responsibility. The samurai were taught that true strength must be tempered by mercy and care. Without benevolence, power becomes tyranny. For us today, benevolence means more than kindness. It means recognizing our responsibility to others, balancing ambition with compassion, and remembering that self-discipline is not selfish asceticism, but a tool to serve society. The disciplined life is not just about self-control. It is about becoming a person reliable and strong enough to help others. Benevolence gives discipline meaning. Without it, discipline collapses into pride. Respect, the fourth virtue, governed samurai behavior in every interaction. Bowing, language, and etiquette were not empty rituals. They were daily practices of humility and acknowledgement of human dignity. In modern life, respect is discipline in relationships. It is listening instead of interrupting, treating colleagues with fairness, honoring parents, maintaining patience with those who frustrate us. A disciplined person does not only master their own impulses, they also master their treatment of others. Respect is the art of channeling inner control outward, shaping a world where dignity is preserved. Honesty or sincerity was the refusal to deceive. The samurai despised falsehood, for lies corrupted both honor and trust. In our digital world, where curated images and half-truths dominate, honesty requires fierce discipline. It means resisting the temptation to present a false version of ourselves. It means living transparently, with integrity. Self-discipline in honesty is not just about avoiding lies. It is about aligning words, actions, and inner truth. To live dishonestly is to fracture the soul. To live honestly is to walk with unshakable confidence, because nothing needs to be hidden. Honor was perhaps the most sacred principle. For the samurai, honor was life itself. Reputation, legacy, and moral standing were worth more than survival. When dishonor struck, samurai sometimes chose death over disgrace. While we need not embrace such fatal extremes, the essence of honor remains crucial. To have honor today is to live in such a way that your name evokes respect, trust, and integrity. It is to hold yourself accountable when no one else will. It is to preserve dignity in both triumph and defeat. Self-discipline is the fuel that sustains honor. For honor is not built in grand gestures, but in daily habits, keeping promises, completing tasks, staying consistent when no applause is given. Loyalty bound samurai to their lords and clans. To break loyalty was to break Bushido. In the modern age, loyalty is less about feudal obligations and more about devotion to principles, to family, to chosen communities, and to one's own mission. Self-discipline thrives when anchored by loyalty, because loyalty gives a why to the struggle. Why resist temptation? Why persist in hard labor? Because one is loyal to dreams, to people, to values greater than comfort. A life without loyalty is rootless. A life with loyalty is unshakable. Underlying all these virtues was self-control, the silent virtue that made all others possible. Without self-control, courage collapses into recklessness, honesty falters into lies, respect decays into arrogance. The samurai understood that to master the sword, one must first master the self. Today, self-control is the scarce currency of success. It is the ability to resist distractions, to regulate emotions, to endure discomfort, to choose long-term benefit over immediate pleasure. Every discipline, from fitness to finance, from study to relationships, depends on self-control. To lack it is to be enslaved by impulse. To cultivate it is to be free. Together, these principles form not just a code of warriors, but a timeless philosophy of disciplined living. But Bushido was never merely theoretical. It was lived in action. Samurai rose before dawn, trained rigorously, studied poetry and calligraphy to balance martial might with cultural refinement, and kept death in mind daily to sharpen the appreciation of life. Their lives were rituals of discipline, and here lies a profound lesson. Discipline is not a temporary effort. It is a way of life. To live by Bushido today is not to follow a checklist, but to weave discipline into every breath. How then can we apply Bushido in our own modern struggles? Let us consider practical translations. Rectitude becomes setting clear values and refusing to compromise them. Courage becomes pursuing difficult goals despite setbacks. Benevolence becomes practicing kindness in leadership and service. Respect becomes mindful communication. Honesty becomes authenticity in work and relationships. Honor becomes the consistency of action, aligned with values. Loyalty becomes long-term dedication to worthy causes. Self-control becomes the daily practice of restraint and focus. Imagine building a life where these are not occasional virtues, but constants. Such a life would stand firm amid chaos. Consider the modern workplace. Distractions abound. Endless notifications, meetings, gossip, shortcuts. A Bushido mindset would cut through the noise. Clarity of purpose, respect for colleagues, honesty in dealings, loyalty to the mission, and self-control against procrastination. Or think of personal fitness, courage to begin, rectitude to set rules, self-control to follow through, respect for the body, honor in keeping promises to oneself. In relationships, benevolence to care, honesty to build trust, loyalty to sustain bonds, respect to prevent harm. In every domain, Bushido is a compass pointing toward disciplined excellence. Yet Bushido is not easy. The samurai themselves struggled, and so will we. Discipline means fighting inner battles every day. It means failing, rising, and trying again. It means sacrificing comfort. But in exchange, it grants something priceless: mastery of the self. To live without discipline is to be ruled by impulses, to drift aimlessly, to waste life in trivialities. To live with discipline is to steer life with purpose, to carve destiny as a sculptor carves stone. The samurai understood this, and so must we. The modern world often ridicules discipline, promoting instead indulgence, convenience, and endless entertainment. But beneath the noise, a truth remains. Fulfillment does not come from ease. It comes from effort, growth, and alignment with higher values. Bushido offers us a reminder that life, however fleeting, can be lived with dignity. Each choice, each action, each disciplined moment builds a legacy greater than any fleeting pleasure. The samurai knew death was always near. They meditated on it daily. This was not morbid obsession, but clarity. To remember death is to remember urgency. To remember urgency is to reject procrastination and mediocrity. Self-discipline thrives when we realize time is short. Every wasted hour is a piece of life we cannot reclaim. To live by Bushido is to live as if each day matters, because it does. And so, in the end, Bushido is not about war. It is about life. It is about living with such clarity, discipline, and integrity that when death finally comes, nothing is left undone. Modern self-discipline, then, is simply the new battlefield upon which Bushido fights. The sword may have been set aside, but the spirit of the samurai remains waiting for those who dare to pick it up, not as steel, but as self-mastery. To embrace Bushido today is to declare war against laziness, dishonesty, fear, and weakness. It is to become a warrior not of the battlefield, but of the spirit. And in a world of indulgence, the disciplined life is the true rebellion. So ask yourself, will you live drifting, bound by impulse, a servant of distraction? Or will you live as a modern samurai, guided by Bushido, armed with self-discipline, carving a path of honor through the chaos? The choice is yours. And perhaps, in choosing discipline, you will discover what the samurai knew all along, that the greatest victory is not over enemies outside, but over the self within.